Welcome back, everybody, to the final match of the Swiss portion stage of Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas. This is the final Swiss best of 5 for the entire program of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Coming up next, we have Nalguidan from Argentina versus Monsanto from Canada. It is going to be a clash of two of the most consistent players of the region, although I guess you can make that argument for the majority of these America's GMs. So it's going to be interesting to see what these two players have in store. Monsanto with the very unique leave Mage up lineup that no one seems to want to touch. Doesn't seem like people are playing Mage, even though Monsanto leaves it up. And I find that pretty cool in terms of the different kinds of strategies, because we've been seeing all kinds of stuff. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas presented by T-Mobile. This is the last Swiss stage match of the entire stage for all of Hearthstone Grandmasters. And that will be the last time that I'll have a chance to welcome back from an intro to a muted microphone.
I think everybody could hear you but me, though. I think everybody could hear you but me. I think you were only muted to me.
Okay.
So everybody else heard you. But, Dan, I appreciate you giving me an intro, me a second intro.
Welcome back, TJ.
I don't want it to go unnoticed. I'm sure the first one was beautiful. I could see you, and you looked excited. I could feel the energy. So I hope everybody else who could hear you could feel the energy. But yeah, it was just to me. But thanks for that. Welcome back, Dan. Glad to be back.
I was just moving my mouth. I actually wasn't muted at all.
I was like, yeah, I know.
I was just pretending to be muted. Jokes on you.
I was waiting
to be stupid.
Because I looked over and I didn't see the mute icon next to your name, so I was like, yeah, he's not talking. He's not talking.
All right. Well, the bands
that was
are
convincing,
in. Thank you. Oscar-worthy performance. Nalguidan once again has that Mage left open, and I like it. Hunter has proven to be so consistently good against those last 3 classes. It almost feels like, why are you letting your opponent get that free win? And I like that Monsanto has thought outside the box here, because clearly he could adopt that strategy, and I have no doubt that he would find success still if he was able to play the level 1 strategy that most of the people are doing. But I like that he's found a different path to victory. And that's part of what makes a 10-class format pretty interesting to think about. And I hope that we get to revisit formats like this for even the next Grandmaster, because I think that the format has potential. I would like to see a couple of changes to it, but this was for a first go. This shows a lot more promise. Obviously, there's weaknesses in those, which is sometimes if there's like 1 or 2 classes that are clearly a cut below the rest, it might look kind of sad to see that class constantly have a really bad win rate. But at the same time, I think there's more exploration to be done, and like we were talking about, players only had less than a week to prepare, and this is a very difficult thing to do post-rotation, because the meta is completely changing week to week with all the bounce patches, a new class, rotation. Now you add in a 10-class format. It is very complex. So I don't blame the players whatsoever for trying to go for a level 1 basic strategy of like, okay, what's the worst classes? Force them to play that, and try to stick to what I know.
I wonder what those crazy folks over at Hearthstone Esports are going to cook up for Grandmasters Season 2. We'll have to wait and find
Maybe we
out.
double it. Bring 20 decks.
20 decks, 2 of each class. and you ban 14 and leave up 2. You could even have 2 different Warlock decks.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And next year, it'll be 30, and then you'll have a primary, secondary, tertiary deck for all 10 classes.
For each class, yep.
That's right.
I like this. I like where we're going with this.
And then Battlefight just implodes because it can't even handle the amount of class icons that's going to be on the screen. I was trying to look at all the 10 decks in my browser, and I was just like, wow, Battlefight did a great job trying to accommodate these asks from the Hearthstone Esports team, but geez, there's a lot going on. Ton of information.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna start things off with the Druid mirror, and I have to say that Nalguidan is a resounding favorite. He
Got that Starfall.
He's got the Starfall, and that makes all the difference. He also has Ysera Unleashed. So there's a couple ways that this can go. One player can just have a Glowfly Swarm and play it early and kill you. That's scenario one. Scenario two is both players kind of have awkward hands and nothing really happens. And in that case, Nalguidan's favored because he has an extra check mark because of the Starfall, and also has an extra minion to be able to just play and start getting on board with Ysera Unleashed. But the real thing is the Starfall, because Nalguidan can either get Starfall or Glowfly Swarm early game and kind of have the advantage. But as it stands, Monsanto can play a full Glowfly Swarm next turn, and that would be before Nalguidan could play anything.
Well,
so this looks like a scenario one type of game to me.
yeah. This might be a little bit too much pressure coming from Monsanto. And honestly, there's not many punishment opportunities for Nalguidan. That is the thing about this Druid matchup. You might see a very quick game number one in the Spell Druid mirror. This was true the first 2 weeks, but still very much true in week number 3. But if Monsanto doesn't have a way to supplant his board, doesn't find the Power of the Wild, doesn't find the Soul of the Forest, Nalguidan does have a chance for a major comeback now that he finds Exotic Mount Seller.
All right, that's game one.
All right, here we go. All right, cool. So
30 damage.
Okay.
It's going to game number 2.
All right. And that was, what, 2 minutes and 30 seconds after I said Nalguidan was a resounding favorite?
Yeah.
I should have waited until I saw the hands. I don't know why I opened my big stupid mouth.
It's not like you're getting paid to do it or anything.
Yeah, I know. Oh, jeez. Well, I did at least mention scenario one, where one player plays Glowfly Swarm, the other player has nothing, and they lose.
Turn 4 victory. Let's just, try to fathom, a turn 4 victory. It wasn't like a turn 4 concede because the opponent knew they lost. It was, actually 30 damage by turn 4. Yeah. What on earth is that?
Yeah.
That's faster than any aggro deck we've ever seen in Hearthstone, right? Because it was always turn 6 or 7. Sometimes, if the Undertaker got out of control, turn 5, turn 4 victory. Absolutely absurd.
And Nalguidan could have picked apart that board a little bit. He could have crystal powered bog beamed, but then what's his follow up to that really, right?
Right.
He has nothing. He has to overgrowth the following turn, and then he dies to Savage Roar anyway because he took the damage. So he just has to hope that Monsanto has zero follow up, and maybe he picks up a Starfall. That's his game plan in that scenario. But
it's a big
sometimes
win
it doesn't work out.
Sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's a big win for Monsanto as well because Nalguidan seemed to have slighted all of his decks to try to beat Druid. It seems to be a high priority for him, and that's a significant win in his book because Starfall is for the Druid mirror. Murloc Paladin is purely to punish the Druids because of how slow they get set up, and even the Shaman, right? Shaman's one of their better matchups are Druid. Now, Monsanto's going to turn to his Galakron Shaman, featuring not 1, but 2 Hungry Crabs.
2 Hungry Crabs.
And he's hoping, he is very much keeping in the depths of his heart the hope that Nalguidan stays on Druid. However, I see that we will that Mage has been queued up by Nalguidan, and he's going to try to play Mage versus Shaman. All right.
All right, so taking a look at the stats for this, we don't have much, but it's been very even. We don't have much for Americas. There was only 6 games of this matchup played in America. But across all of the regions combined, there's been 45 games played. of Mage versus Shaman, and Mage has won 51% of them. So 23 out of 45. So essentially it's even. I think we can safely call it an even matchup. And this is one of the reasons why I like Monsanto leaving up the Mage, even though Mage is overall considered to be a higher level deck than Hunter by a lot of the players. Hunter's just been crushing, and Mage has not been crushing.
It has not been. It's been pretty subpar. It's around that same tier as Shaman, believe it or not. Part of it is because Mage versus Druid has been kind of a struggle. And that's actually been the majority of its matchups. It's been very even versus everything else. And I like that approach. You know, Monsanto says that if I leave up the Mage, Druid has an escape route. However, if I leave up Hunter, that's more of a 50-50 there. Or even slightly unfavorable. Bog Spine Knuckles comes into the hand here. Monsanto has an opportunity to go for those evolve plays. However, is this too much from Nalguidan in terms of removal? He's got a lot going on for him.
He does.
What to do?
Rolling Fireball plus the attack from the Escape Mana Saber will clear off just about everything. There'd be 3, 6, 9. There'd be 9 health on board, so it would clear nearly everything. It would just leave up a 1/6 or 1/1. So I wonder if Monsanto tries to dig with Farsight here for maybe a better follow-up for Boxman Knuckles, and yeah, that's what he does.
Yikes.
That would have been the next draw anyway.
Right.
So that's not a big deal, and that's it is a yikes because it would have been free with Boxman Knuckles anyway.
Effectively
Probably.
drawing a 0-mana card.
Yeah. Probably hoping for like the second Desert Hare or maybe even like a second Devoted Maniac, so he could fit it in the same turn that he would play the Boxspine Knuckles and potentially have a reasonable swing onto the board.
I wonder.
Nalguidan ends up going for a attack, the Mana Saber, to try and optimize Rolling Fireball. He will expose himself to the Bogspine Knuckles. And the Mana Saber would die. And I think he kind of wants his Mana Saber to survive because he does have some expensive cards that he would like to get played a lot earlier. Deep Freeze, for example, being one of them. If he has the option of getting to Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, that'd be cool. It's also just... Yeah.
Well, I was going to say he could go for something like Frostbolt the Face.
Time runs out on me.
Oh, yeah?
I
Crossbow the Face and then Flame Ward.
And then Flame Ward, yeah. And leave his Mana Saber up.
I think that's a little bit too cute of a play. Because Flame Ward doesn't activate unless a minion attacks.
Yeah.
So if he played Bogspine Knuckles and attacked, it was likely that it wouldn't have the effect that he was hoping to get.
Alrighty.
So Monsanto can get even greedier. He can play the Shield of Galakron, stack up the board just a little bit more, then go for Bogspine Knuckles on the following turn, having developed a 5-mana minion and a 2-mana minion in the form of the Storm Elemental that comes out. He also could just try to maximize his tempo right here, right now. And honestly, I think that's just as good. What I like about the Shield of Galakron, though, is, one, it keeps up his Invoke, and he has a lot of Invokes going on right now, and also, if his opponent does have removal, it kind of gets it out now, so to speak. Not after he's already committed to the Evolve and then used all of his resources and just gets wiped out.
Yeah. I think this is also the best positioning for Rolling Fireball. Because he can't kill off both the Shield of Galakron and the Violet Spellsword with by positioning it this way. So he keeps one of his more expensive minions alive.
I think you're right.
And Nalguidan's not attacking with this Escape Mana Saber, which tells Monsanto that he's holding on for a powerful turn 8 play, most likely turn 8, which is either Deep Freeze or Power of Creation.
What to do?
Right, and so he might need to go for Box by Knuckles, otherwise he might not get a chance to use it ever.
Ever.
Yeah, that's actually very curious. Also, I thought about it, and I think Monsanto, if he placed his Galacron, Shield of Galacron to the left, that the Hungry Crab would have been protected, because then his minion would have absorbed it before the Hungry Crab. But alas, just small optimization could actually have a profound impact, though. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, let's say Monsanto goes for the Evolve here and incidentally hits a Doomsayer. That makes Deep Freeze a lot worse. Monsanto recognizes this is the turn to go for it. He doesn't have many chances, especially if he's holding onto the Mana Saber as long as he has.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, some reasonable stuff indeed. So, obviously, having a Divine Shield minion is really annoying because it doesn't get frozen.
What to do? What to do?
And the Dalaran Crusader in general is like pretty reasonably statted, so it'll trade favorably into a lot of things.
I still feel like Deep Freeze is just the best play here. I mean, there's other options. He could hold on to the Mana Saber one more time, one more turn, and then go for Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and play something like Twilight Drake plus Frost over here.
Right.
But
oh, he's freezing the Dalaran Crusader. Interesting. Good sequencing to attack into the Raspike Brute, because that Brute could also deal 1 damage to all stuff and you get the free trade. The only thing is that now your opponent gets the second Evolve synergy.
yeah, and that was also the only way he could have sequenced that, because he needed the mana from the Mana Saber to be able to play the Deep Freeze.
Right.
And this...
Wow. Okay.
This could be a big one.
This, yeah, you know, the Devoted Maniac summoning this Elemental gets the trade. And while Nalguidan hold on to his Elementals, because he didn't want them to die, something bigger could be on the horizon here. He ends up using his own weapon to kill the Saber. Finds a bunch of reasonably stat minions, and yet also finds another Raspike Brute. That's pretty funny.
Take it.
Yeah.
So
he want to evolve again. He has 2
maybe
mutates.
On the Hearthstone Togwaggle?
6 to 7 can improve, but also there's a lot of... Oh, wait. Interesting.
Now he could go again and then Invocation Frost, because it would be free.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Zephyrus comes into the hand. Way to undo all of that. Best sequencing for this. Oh, Nalguidan's going to wait, actually, because he has Frost Nova, so he can go even greedier with the Zephyrus. I like that. He might be able to find the Malygos Flame Strike. Deals everything. Malygos Aspect of Magic gives you an upgraded version of all those mage spells, the classic mage spells that you see. And doesn't find any big AoE, but still has an opportunity to set up a big Zephyrus swing. It almost certainly has to be Frost Nova here.
Time runs out on me.
Be extremely surprised to see anything else.
Yeah, technically not dead with Frost Nova, but you don't want to let these minions attack, because that's the only way that Monsanto seems like he can come back in this one.
Oh! Hungry Crab draw. Hate to see it.
Trying to think what's the...
Oh!
All right.
Can't tell what that means. Does that mean Monsanto should start going face? Does that mean he can trade into these minions? He can Invocation of Frost, rush a minion into a Water Elemental and trade it? What does that Frost Nova imply for Nalguidan? Does it mean that he has AoE ready? Like, did you find Malygos' Flame Strike? If you found Malygos' Flame Strike, he absolutely shouldn't trade with this this Grom, because that would mean that he loses everything. Well, at the same time, it wouldn't matter much.
Yeah.
Because you could ping afterwards.
It's kind of funny. Was there... Oh, no. There wasn't a way for him to do it. Never mind. If you evolve something into a living dragon breath with minions on that are frozen on your board, do they unfreeze?
Huh.
What to do?
He didn't have a
know.
2. He didn't have a 2 that he could evolve into, so it's
Right.
a moot point for this situation, but I'm curious.
It's definitely,
That's the case.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting interaction question.
One that rarely comes up. I would imagine they would unfreeze. So he went for the card draw. Which means that he's not going to go for, like, Zephyr's Brawl. Zephyr's now...
Alright, finds another Frost Nova, and with the amazing Reno in hand, it's perfectly viable for him to just play this. Unless there's a way for Monsanto to fight against it. He finds Kronks. Kronks is still a pretty good draw, actually. Because...
Fully invoked!
Yeah, if Nalguidan goes for the amazing Reno, he still has a reload now. Now Nalguidan has to consider that. He's saying, well, if I play a Reno, how do I answer that?
With the random spell from the amazing Reno the next turn. Casting Shadowwood Ruin.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or Puzzle Box that casts a Shadowwood Ruin. Or Amazing Reno casting Renew. Ah, never mind. It's Discover a spell. It would be Mage spells. Damn.
Right.
Thwarted.
Absolutely thwarted. Yeah. Seems like Nalguidan going for a customary trade doesn't really impact much here. Everything disappears, so it's not like they get death rattle effects or anything like that, even if you did. Monsanto finds a Farsight, so does have a couple decisions to make. Could end up, now that the Mage hero power has converted to the amazing Reno spells, which is at the beginning of your turn you get a random Mage spell. That gives him the opportunity to just start to summon 2/1s, because Mage can't have their Fire Blast anymore to try and ping off these small little creatures. And Monsanto also deals 5 damage to the weapon, so his magic number is now turned from 24 to 14. And that's how much minions damage has to do with minions to end this game. Oh! It has rush!
Ah, it has
But
rush!
it has rush! Okay, so I'm looking at Reno, the Relicologist, trying to look at how much
would make us rich.
how much that does on the board. If he trades, Reno will likely clean up at least one of the other elemental if he bumps into the 10 health one. Oh, he's not gonna looking for what I think he's looking for, the puzzle box. I was kind of thinking Reno, the Relicologist, and Bone Wraith here, but seems like Nalguidan was digging deeper for a different game plan. Finds the Acidic Swamp Ooze. Finds the So he finds the Bone Wraith here, and Monsanto still has a chance. He's allowed to keep this 9-10, and honestly, there's a lot of ways he can get punished here.
Ooh!
DJ!
That being one of them.
The Clacker! Nalguidan was hoping that he would be able to find a way for this 9-2 elemental to survive. There's a possibility that it doesn't.
So what are you looking to evolve with the Clacker here? Obviously Mogu Flesh Shaper.
Right. But it's probably Mogu Flesh Shaper and the Novice Engineer, because you're going to be killing the Storm Elemental on the other side, right?
Yeah. And he actually gets to push the Storm
Wolf
Elemental.
Rider!
He gets to push the Storm Elemental damage to the face.
Yeah. But the Wolf Rider can go into the Acidic Swamp Ooze. Also, by the way, Caligos, pretty awesome.
So this damage going to face sets up for the Boxvine Knuckles to be lethal over 2 turns, but there's still an Alexstrasza.
The
right.
puzzle box.
Okay,
Nalguidan has won this game. He has to
Puzzle
play
Box,
it.
He does, yeah. He could play with Dragoncaster Puzzle Box, and then he at least has like a Flame Ward backup.
Right?
Or
if he generates random spells.
Or if he generates random spells.
And gets like a Frost Nova. You know, Puzzle Box can give you Magic Trick, which can give you like... You just gotta keep your mana flexible. Oh, he's gonna go for Caligos!
I guess if he found
Freeze?
Blizzard, he would do that instead.
Right.
Or Frost Nova, I suppose.
You want to trade into this 3/3 first and then Puzzle Box.
All
Here we go.
That's the old... Well, here's my Puzzle Box shrug.
Okay, promising start. Very promising. Earthquake. Pressure plate.
Pressure plate. Another Wind Portal.
Jeez. Oh, and it's taunt. Wait, but he's destroying his minions.
No!
They twisting nethers. And another Darkest Hour. Yeah. And there you go.
What just happened?
Wait. Sludge Slurper. Gonna get Ethereal Lackey. Okay, Cobalt Lackey. That's not enough. Because now Nalguidan can go for Alexstrasza on himself. Oh, my son was actually thinking about that possibility. So he's like, do I just hold on to this Cobalt Lackey? There's just no way. Like, how do you actually win?
What if?
The way you win is if your opponent Alexstrasza himself, you draw...
You can force your opponent to play Alexstrasza by playing Cobalt Lackey.
Right. He already has played Kronks. His best draw would be... Never mind. I was going to say his best draw was going to be Boxed by Knuckles, but Avenging Wrath... This is 100% Alex to himself. And Monsanto, I think, is out of options. Assassinate doesn't target friendly minions. Monsanto's like, oh, I was hoping for it. You know, that's what it is. Monsanto's hoping that Nalguidan accidentally plays, like, Overflow.
Yeah, so Nalguidan has to... well, he doesn't have to keep developing. But yeah, now Monsanto's going to stay in this game until the bitter end, just for the off chance that Reno does something spectacularly bad for Nalguidan. Drawing into fatigue, like you mentioned, or maybe even just like removing his own board, which gives Monsanto more time.
Healing Monsanto.
Healing Monsanto, yeah.
Nalguidan, full Christmas tree mode. Secrets, quests. Monsanto potentially could pick up another impactful lackey. Does not. And I think he has to kill. This Alex does not. And oh wait, Nalguidan does not have lethal.
That's essentially lethal.
Yeah, the Solarian Prime. Most likely lethal here.
It needs to deal 2 damage to his opponent.
Right, and it will
is
try to
quite
target
likely.
enemies.
Yeah. He could even Arcane Explosion first, and then all of the spells will target his face if possible.
Right. Okay, another secret. Deep freeze. Can't even
All
have.
these secrets
Doesn't even
are
have
useless.
room. Doesn't even have room
Oh,
for the
wow.
secrets.
Alright, so now a Twisting Nether from the amazing Reno isn't out.
This is absurd. And Monsanto actually kind of has some information on what the secrets are, but
Nope.
nope. Upgrade for a weapon damage, and Monsanto's going to concede. Nalguidan's Mage gets a Game 2 victory, and so the Mage being left up hasn't actually paid off this series for Monsanto.
Yeah.
Still, though.
That's some top tier mage gameplay right there. That's everything you could ever want in a single mage game.
Yeah. Mage fans love to see it. I think that if you take out that puzzle box, though, Mage was still in a tough spot. And I kind of wonder if perhaps Nalguidan got a little bit too liberal with his resources. Like he played Zephyrus for another Frost Nova to go for the amazing Reno, but there was still that opportunity for his opponent to get that Galakron, and he knows that it's like almost fully invoked. So there was a possibility of a punish, and there was almost that punish, right? So if I'm in Nalguidan's seat, I understand completely like why he was going for that line of play, because it would require specific draws from his opponent. But at the same time, Monsanto did get those draws, so it was like a possibility that Nalguidan overextended.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Nalguidan gets the win. Now we're down to essentially a best of 3. Paladin Shaman remain on both sides. Monsanto does have the Hunter deck, though. Looking at kind of the text throughout his Hunter deck, he does have the Hungry Crab. So I don't know, and he has Hungry Crabs and a Shaman. So Paladin's probably off the table for Nalguidan. So if we look at it that way, we can say Druid Shaman for Nalguidan and Hunter Shaman for Monsanto as the decks that will most likely be the decks that are played for the rest of this series.
Yeah, certainly going to be an interesting one to see if the Galakron Shaman can follow that up. Overall, this deck list is very lean and efficient. 2 legendaries, everything else are 2-ups. Meanwhile, Nalguidan has several 1-ofs in this spell Druid deck list. And Shaman's supposed to beat the Druids, but we've been seeing lots of upsets go the opposite way, DJ.
Yes, we have. But we'll see if the stats can finally be true. It does not seem like the case so far today. Goldfly Swarm is a good start for Nalguidan. And Monsanto just looking for things to get on the board fast. There's actually not much in the deck that gets on the board incredibly fast. Mostly looking for those big bursts. The evolved bursts with Bog Spine Knuckles, Desert Hare.
Okay. Finds Desert Hare and the Dread Corsair, as well as the Mutate. He finds a Clacker. Oh, okay. Okay.
He has a Clacker, but Nalguidan's also got the Juice.
Wow, that is an impressive hand.
Glowflies love Juice.
Yeah, this Fungal Fortune is going to draw several cards.
Oh.
Kael'thas. Just feeling kind of shy today. He doesn't really want to play any games of Hearthstone.
He doesn't.
It's Sunday. Sunday is our Lord Illidan's day. And if I'm Nalguidan, I'm still very much tempted to go for an overgrowth in this position here. But there is an opportunity to pick apart the board through some Hero Power Moonfires.
Yeah, here upon Moonfire kills the 2 Desert Hares.
Except
Still
all
leaves
that
some things on the board?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's still stuff on the board. Monsanto isn't actually going for the wide evolve. He's going for the Bogstruck Clacker. It's time to click clack.
Sometimes I miss Snip Snap.
Only sometime?
Only sometimes.
Got it. Here we go. Potentially impactful evolve.
Oh, okay. Skyvateer.
Okay. All right, yeah, Skyvateer to keep the card draw potentially really impactful. Then doesn't seem like there's too much else going on here. The Devoted Maniac going to be able to answer a couple of these minions. Looks like everything else is on cleanup duty.
Can actually clear off most of this. Yeah, I honestly would probably trade this into one of these 2/2s. Just to get the card draw if you need it going into the next turn.
Right. And if you are in Monsanto's position, you are very desperate. Your opponent doesn't know it just yet, but there's not really much that you can do here once your minions die. And when Nalguidan plays the second Glowfly Swarm, that might be the beginning of the end. Oh,
or not.
Corrupt Elementalist finds the way into the hand.
And that's 3 more Glowflies dead.
Alright, I was kind of worried when the Playbreaker died that Monsanto wouldn't have any meaningful board presence development, but now Nalguidan doesn't have like the auto I win hand.
No, his minion generation left is limited to the Rising Winds, Power of the Wild, and Exotic Mount Seller. So it looks like he's just going to go for the full board load up here. With the double eagle into Power of the Wild for a buff. Still a threatening board, and Monsanto's got to find a way to deal with this.
Is he fully invoked? Well, he will be now.
Yeah, he is now.
This is still a scary enough board where you don't want it to get Savage Roared. And you might be dead.
I hope you like my invention.
Novice Engineer to draw. Another Bogstruck Clacker.
Nalguidan is going to follow this up, though, likely with a Innervate Gift of the Wild. Which, if he doesn't clear anything or taunt up, is 27 damage.
Yeah, not on his watch. Not on the Silverback Patriarch's watch. Now you're down with the Fungal Fortunes, but the Gift of the Wild, as you were saying, a little bit too much tempo. Such an interesting time where when Gift of the Wild was revealed being a new classic card for Druid, people laughed at it, saying it would be one of the worst cards in the game. And now it's one of the most fearsome tools for Druid in the late game.
You essentially needed Galakron right then.
It's almost like by playing 2 Hungry Crabs and you're not playing against a Murloc deck, it's as if you got bad luck Albatross died on your opponent's board before the game started and you just draw these random crabs that don't...
Oh, if he had played the Draconic Lackey last turn.
He would have had the Twin Tyrant this turn.
Yeah.
That is exactly how it works.
I wonder.
With result-oriented thinking, TJ.
Yeah, as soon as the Draconic Lackey is spawned or summoned, that's when its Dragon Pool is determined. So as soon as he played the Sludge Slurper, the dragons were already determined in Necrochronic Lackey. So no matter when he played it, he would have gotten these 3 options.
I'm like 90% sure you're joking, but if that actually was the case, that'd be very smart.
Well, there's 0 way to prove it.
Yeah, that's true. Well played, TJ. 17 bit damage on the board. With Savage Word picked up, that's going to be lethal. Nalguidan's up 2-1 now. And that brings us to our potential final game of this entire Swiss stage of Grandmasters. Nalguidan could be the second Latin American player to win a Swiss tournament, and there's only been 3. Gallon won week 2, and Panizzato won week 1. And what a diverse set of winners that would be too. The fact that 2 out of the 3 come from Latin America. 1 is from a brand new GM. 1's from a newer GM. Gallon joined us in season 2, and 1 from the invited players from season 1, which would be very nice to see, just as a well-rounded group of winners.
A nice group of winners,
right? And also, it's cool to see too, because Nalguidan is a player that I think I root for very often, because he's one of those players that have made some of those sacrifices. Right? We talk about Bloodyface, who quit his job a year and a half ago to pursue full-time Hearthstone, and it paid off. Mm-hmm. Nalguidan putting university studies last year off for a while to pursue Grandmasters and take it much more seriously, because he was saying he couldn't split his attention and do well. He was struggling a lot, because in season 1, not only was it Specialist, but it was also him studying full-time. So he's like, season 2, Conquest is back. It was Shield Conquest, so it was a little bit of a different twist, but he performed much better. And I think that gave him a lot of confidence. And then recently, he did well in the Masters Tour event for the first time. And he just felt like, according to his own words on Twitter, his hard work was finally starting to pay off. And, when that matters a lot, right? Because I think doubting yourself, confidence in a way, is one of the most important attributes to have as a player, because we've seen so many people come up onto the stage and lose that confidence. I'd look no further than fellow Argentinian PNC, who's had great moments on broadcast and then sometimes feels like his own anxiety and doubt compromises all the preparation he puts in. And I think Nalguidan doing well has been a delight to see. It's a TLDR. As we go into game number 4, Nalguidan has the early curve into a Bog Spine Knuckles, but we've seen the Hunter dissect those boards very easily, especially with a turn 1 Dwarven Sharpshooter.
There are weird things you can do? No. I was gonna say, if Hunger Crab was only slightly stronger, they can get there. Oh, and another follow-up to your mini tangent on Nalguidan is, I think he's back to the balancing act now. Maybe he did get the confidence from season 2 and said to himself, I can do it, because I think he's in school/working now for this season again. So if he were to win, even with all that, that would be that much more impressive.
The fires of vengeance burn bright.
Oh, he can kill off the Dwarven Sharpshooter, but what?
Okay. So this is a pretty aggressive board from Nalguidan to try and overtake it, but it's going to get completely dissected by the Desert Spear, just having the 1/1s rush in and kill everything.
Yeah. So this was a conscious decision to leave these 2 minions up to fight the Dwarven Sharpshooter. Because Nalguidan could have used the Rocket Aug Merchant on the... never mind. I was going to say he could use it to rush it in, but he bumped it this turn instead of bumped it the previous turn. For some reason, I thought that started at 2 health. So that was the only way he could have done that. He was hoping, I think, that Monsanto would have spent the mana hero powerings, so that way he could have a nice free turn next turn. I don't have to worry about much, but Desert Spear's not that bad. And just decides to fully trade. Oh.
Yeah, I think that the Hunter's game plan is if they can just remove every minion on the board and keep things in check, then there's just no real snowballing for them because of the box spine knuckles. And I think that's ultimately what Monsanto is going for. How can I stop Nalguidan from developing the board the best I can? And I think that's why Desert Spear was the superior choice.
Nalguidan, not much option here but to totem up. His hand is full of 5-mana minions that he wants to be able, or 5-mana things that he wants to be able to coin out, and Sludge Slurper would ruin that and likely get challenged just by the Desert Spear on board. So, at the risk of potentially having a dead turn next turn if he overloads, he just has to totem up and pass. Which doesn't feel great, but at least he's rolling into a couple powerful turns.
Huh. Well, seems like the Deathwing is a pretty interesting option as a nuke button in case you fall too far behind on the board. And Galakrond Shaman, if they're all in, you have this opportunity for Deathwing to clear everything, all the 8/8s.
Yeah, and Galakrond Shaman usually has one big push, or one big push plus Galakrond. So if you play Deathwing and you kill their big push, they're not killing a Deathwing.
True.
The Zixer Apex Predator.
Yeah, Zixer is pretty good here. Trying to think if Animal Companion might be more justifiable. So if you get Leok, you get a very clean kill with the Rusher off the Locust Rusher off of the Desert Spear. You get a Huffer. You can go face. Always great. And then if you get Misha, it's the best stat. So overall, this looks good to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, well, the Box Spine Knuckles now has legitimate setup with the Desert Hare in hand. And for Nalguidan's sake, he might have to kill this Misha here. Never a great feeling, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, Monsanto has a relatively weak development turn. It's got Fairy Dragon, Zixor, Stormhammer, Maiev. I think I like the Fairy Dragon and the Stormhammer development, so that way you can get the hammer swings now.
And then follow it up with a nice turn 7 play with Zixer plus Maiev.
Right.
The more damage he gets in and the more cards he dumps, the easier it is to play Deathwing later, or the easier it is to accept that you're playing Deathwing.
Sure.
Alright, so it looks like a load up and
He could
see
choose
what
to,
these 4-drops have.
yeah, he could choose to play the Titanic Lackey after, so he can taunt up anything that gets summoned, so that way he can stay more alive. Right now, his HP is a concern when your opponent plays Stormhammer. And I like this play from Nalguidan. Henchclan Hogsteed for the trade. Can now taunt up
Nice.
Frizz as well. Just to give the best amount of taunt stats onto the board. It's also trickier for Monsanto to get through. I guess the Dragonling mechanic does have the same amount of health, so it preserved the same amount.
And now the question is, does Monsanto even make it
Oh, yeah?
to Deathwing? Well, that might help.
Right. So I think Nalguidan didn't want his Frizz to be able to get targeted. Incidentally, it does make it, like, pretty good against things like Maiev Shadow Song. And so Maiev instead has to go for the Frizz normally, and Nalguidan gets the benefit from the Titanic Lackey. Really good move here from Nalguidan. I think I was favoring a little bit too much just raw power.
Okay. Well, there's no evolve effects left, but Mogu Flesh Shaper, because of the wide board, can come down for quite cheap now. He actually can't play it this turn if he wants to play anything else.
I think he can...
He can just Corrupt Elementalist,
Yeah.
double trade with the Elementals, and then push face for the 6 damage.
Yeah, every little bit helps. And Monsanto doesn't have a play next turn. Perhaps getting a little bit too greedy with the Deathwing.
I do understand where his thinking was.
Oh, wait. He kills the Zigzor, though. What if he just draws that on turn 8?
It's pretty unlikely. Oh!
All right. Another alternative.
So he's rolling, but...
Goes face.
There's
Now
no more weapons
Nalguidan
in the
has
deck.
to deal with that.
Yeah.
Or at least acknowledge it. If he plays Shield of Galakron, that's not enough. So we're swinging to a minion here to protect the King Crush. That's kind of what's weighing on Monsanto's mind. He has 2 more turns of dragons if he just waits, so then Stormhammer doesn't have to break. The durability is depending purely on whether or not you have a dragon on your side of the board. And if Monsanto swings, he won't have that weapon anymore. And if his opponent like full trades and redevelops, he could just play Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, then play Deathwing, and just have 2 turns, 3 turns guaranteed of Stormhammer swings, and that might just be enough to get him over the hump. Chooses to part ways, though, because he says, well, if I have an 8/8 that he can't kill, that's just also lethal.
Well, what I was thinking about was, if Shield of Galakron comes down, he does not set up lethal. Monsanto doesn't even have to answer the board.
Right. Wow.
And he sets up a 2-turn lethal. Well, whereas if Monsanto had set up, or had not attacked, then it would have forced Nalguidan to deal with it, because on board, he would have had lethal with the Stormhammer. He would have had to answer the King Crush, whereas now he doesn't. So I don't like the swing.
Well, that's also presuming that Monsanto, I mean, like, Nalguidan doesn't get like a taunt totem that he rolls.
That's true.
So that is a possibility. There is the way you can kill King Crush right here. There's 8 damage through the Blood Raptor and all the rest of the minions here. Here's the thing. If he doesn't go face, he's not setting up a 2-turn lethal, right?
Oh, that's some respect for that King Crush.
I think he was respecting
he would've
exactly
beat
this.
him.
I was saying, what if he had a way to get through the taunt?
He doesn't set up the 2-turn. He's
Doesn't
one
set up
off
the
on the 2-turn.
But I think that was the right move. And now Monsanto, he's introduced with the possibility that Nalguidan could kill him next turn because, yes, there's no lethal on board, but he could draw it. And Monsanto could go for the safe play.
Yeah, I think you have to go for the safe play. You see him on, you kill everything. Kill as much. Rush Wind Fury.
Okay. Kill Frizz and the shield.
Yeah, and you only leave 4 damage on board. And then you Deathwing next turn. And even if Nalguidan draws Galakron, he plays the Deathwing.
Right. He actually creates an out to win next turn. Oh, he's going for a Divine Shield Rush. He says, if you draw the fully invoked Galakron, you got me. But he's created an opportunity for him. A taunt minion. Can also get a taunt through the Taunt Totem. 1 and 3. Does not stick it. And now he has to consider double trading into the CMA because that Dread Corsair, there's a lot of ways to get past it for the Hunter.
Yeah, there is Diving Griffin, Kill Command, the Grand Slam, Varanus with
if it's in the Grand Slam, he's got bigger problems than than killing off the
Sixer Prime. Diving Griffin, there it is.
And the draw off the top, I completely completely understand the risk, but did not pay off for Nalguidan. The Shaman does not get through, and we're going to Game 5 to determine it all.
That one was close. That one was close.
It was very close, and I think, you know, Nalguidan is thinking about his own outs as well. Like, you know, if everything gets cleared next turn because I put him down within critical striking range, what's my out? And it was just a weapon at that point. I think it was Galakron and the Bog Spine.
Yeah.
And with Shaman, you have such few opportunities to close because they don't play direct damage in these decks. And it's clear that there's so many quality draws from Hunter to just destroy your deck. The moment he picks up Zephyrs, he's dead. The moment he picks up Grand Slam, there's a chance that he's dead, but most likely losing his board. And also the dragon he's been holding on for a long time, right? Like, what is it? So I think I could totally understand Nalguidan's line of play, and I think that if you break it down, that might even be the right play, but it's a little bit hard to say because we have to review every card that's possible that Monsanto could have drawn. And those are the tight corners and edges that feel so hard to play when you're in that hot seat, TJ, because it always feels like when you make that wrong decision in that moment because you lost the game, maybe it's not the wrong call at all. It's hard to say.
Very hard to say. Very difficult. But, Dan, as is fitting for the 10-deck format, the final game comes down to the two classes, Paladin and Shaman, remaining for both players. It's a Murloc Paladin on both sides, and it's a Galakron Shaman on both sides. So what do you go with? Probably the Galakron Shaman because there's Hungry Crabs on both sides.
It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky indeed. I would probably favor the Shaman. Both players favor the Shaman. Oh my goodness.
Here we go.
No faith.
You
in
cannot
the
play
Paladin.
Murloc Paladin into two decks that have Hungry Crab. Now,
That's true.
Nalguidan only has one Hungry Crab.
Right?
But Monsanto has two Hungry Crabs, so there's no way that Nalguidan would play the Paladin. And Monsanto, probably not. So
Right. They
this
feel
is
forced. It almost feels forced to be the case.
Yep. And Desert Hare plus Boxby Knuckles for Monsanto. Boxby Knuckles, one of, if not the highest win rate card amongst most of the Evolved Shaman archetypes. Even though it costs 5 mana, it's just so crucial to the game plan a lot of the time.
The fires of vengeance burn bright.
All right, Battle Mage on the board, turn 1. Monsanto doesn't have an answer, but in time, he will be able to strike back. Keep in mind, one of the hardest things about matchups that involve board space and Shaman Mirrors is Mogu Flesh Shaper. And Nalguidan has that Mogu Flesh Shaper evolve. Whoa.
We're coming up on some juicy turns.
Okay, so this turn, do you Frost and trade into the Battle Mage? Do you get greedy and try to Frost something else later on? Instead, Hero Power, understanding that you're just going to buy a little bit of health back because your opponent's incentivized to trade into it.
That's actually a very difficult question.
Right, because Invocation of Frost actually has a lot of uses, especially if your opponent's trying to play their own Box by Knuckles, because you can freeze your opponent's hero so they can't attack. Okay. So I think Monsanto values his life and also restricting the board a little bit. Also, the second reason to go is there's a chance that the Clacker comes down and evolves both those minions, and the whole game becomes moot anyways because he has too much tempo on his side.
Yeah. Because Monsanto's plays are pretty mapped out. He goes Farsight next turn into Boxby Knuckles on 4 with the coin, and then he follow that up with the Desert Hare. Nalguidan's just digging. He's like, I want something bigger.
Well, for now, he's probably going to bide his time. He has the advantage of the coin, so he doesn't have to go for the Bog Spine. Sorry, he doesn't have to play things like Desert Hare now. He can play Bog Spine Knuckles first, so he can coin down on 4. Then on 5, play the Desert Hares. So in this case, does he want to Farsight to prepare the way for the Bog Spine Knuckles? Oh boy, Nalguidan does not have a good turn. But the Rocket Aug Merchant is still some board presence, and I think there's a case to be made for him to mutate again here.
Yeah, but 4-drops are not much bigger than a 4-3 on average.
It's true. This actually might be better than the 4-drop he might get. There's a lot of like 3 attack, 4-mana minions.
Business is
Given the spell power totem, rush.
Oh, jeez. All right, well, here comes a decisive swing. But it goes both ways. Monsanto's going to be playing 4 minions at least with the Dread Corsair and the Dread Desert Hare, and that makes Mogu Flesh Shaper cost 2 mana.
Yeah, but it's not all going to happen at once.
I mean, if I'm Nalguidan, I think I would prioritize that over the Bog Spine Knuckles into nothing. So, Monsanto, what does he choose to do here? He could also Corrupt Elementalist and take it even slower.
I don't think you want to take it slow here.
Right, because then your opponent might have the Bog Spine Knuckles.
Yep.
And punish you as well. Okay.
Going for the 5-drop. All right, Bristol Ancient.
Okay, so now, do you go for the Mogu Flesh Shaper here? Or do you go for the Bog Spine Knuckles?
Mogu Flesh Shaper Evolve means you're not answering the Barista.
Right, and you know that another Evolve's coming, but you get a 10-drop.
You do get a 10-drop. But that's it.
such
I mean, that's good. I don't want to say that's it, like that's not good.
Right. Get some tempo.
Yep.
Not much, just a little bit. Also, the benefit of doing this is he restricts his own board, so Mogu Flesh Shaper can't come out the other side.
Cobalt Sand Trooper's interesting because he's got a lot of weapon swings in his deck.
It's true, and you can. Wow, Nalguidan's going for an Evolve to get a little bit more power on the board. Finds what? Lady.
It's Vashception.
Yes, I was thinking about
Because
it. I was like,
he is Lady Vash.
Lady Vaj just got Lady Vaj. Huh.
double the power, double the
Monsanto was actually taking this very seriously. He's like, I'm not going to take this damage. Or is he?
Oh, he is taking the damage.
Whoa, okay. I thought this was, thought that he was going to double trade here. Priestess of Fury! Oh! Nalguidan's like, I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know about that.
That's the Bone Wraith. Bone Wraith.
And he can't answer.
That's the best 6-drop in the game. 7-drop.
Okay. Sludge Slurper. Whoa! So Desert Hare.
Desert Hare, Mogu Flesh Shaper, attack. Oh, you can evolve, first. Do you evolve Sludge Slurper so you don't get Doomsayer? Probably.
You might be far enough behind that Doomsayer's not up.
Yeah, but I think like 2 to 3 is pretty good also.
2 to 3 definitely is much better of an upgrade usually.
He needs something real good here though. Deathwing's real good.
Deathwing's real good.
Alright, so...
Holy cow, he has to actually answer this Deathwing or else he's dead.
Monsanto's just... Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
What to do?
So he needs multiple taunts.
Okay, so there is the Taunt Totem. Is he gonna go for the Clacker? 25% of the time you get a taunt totem, but you also don't really live on the board because you have to clear off all these other minions. I think Monsanto has to go for a clacker in this position. That Mogu Flesh Shaper evolving to a 12/12 Deathwing.
And you go for 1/4 and 1/8.
Oh yeah. I think we go for the 8 drop here. Finds a Grom.
He's
And that's
dead.
not enough. He's dead. Nalguidan is your Week 3 Hearthstone Grandmasters America's winner, which rounds out our 3 winners across the first few weeks, as 2 from Latin America and 1 from North America. And also, Canada goes home with no golds during the Swiss, despite a few contenders to the throne. Well done by Nalguidan. That was a really nice back and forth game. I kind of thought that Monsanto would outlast them, but that aggressive plan, you kind of called out the Cobalt Sand Trooper being able to do that little bit of damage.
Yeah.
It mattered.
Yeah,
It just
being
put enough
at 11.
pressure that he felt like he had to go for a desperation play.
Yeah, he had to start doing the plays that would give him like one stronger minion, like the Corrupt Elementalist, instead of going with like Desert Hare and then swing and trying to go wider on the board. He had to start clearing things off because he was taking damage, but in the end, it ended up being his downfall. So it's just so it feels so fitting to end it with a Galakron Shaman mirror matchup and just have a ton of evolves back and forth until one person gets hit in the face with the Deathwing. That just seems like the most fitting end in a game number 5, no less, for us to close out the Swiss portion of Grandmasters.
That's right. So Nalguidan is your Week 3 champion. And that's going to wrap up the Swiss portion. Monsanto, even though he lost here, perhaps takes home one of the best prizes in guaranteeing himself a spot in Division A. Here are the point standings. Gallon leading the charge, finishing number 1 in Division A. Very closely behind him is Eddie, Bladeface, Sand, and Nalguidan. Then Language Hacker, Monsanto, and Monsanto finishing out our top 8. Frozen and PNC do lose out in tiebreakers because the tiebreaker number 1 is what is your best performing week, and Empanizado won a week, while PNC and Frozen both got to the top 4. So that was a deciding tiebreaker there. Yep,
and Gallon gets to keep his position at the top.
That's right.
He won last week, had another top 4. He's been, he's definitively the most consistent performer out of any America's player in the Swiss, with 11 points. And Nalguidan didn't quite catch him with the victory here to be at 10. So,
yep,
nicely done. And those are the divisions. So that's going to be what we're looking at and talking about for the next 4/5 weeks, I guess. Once we go into playoffs, there will be some cross-divisional play. But for the next 4 weeks, those are divisions.
That's right. And if you ever are, intrigued by the tiebreaker rules and want to know what's going to happen, you can go to blizz.ly/HS rules. It's also on the Play Hearthstone website for esports, playhearthstone.com/esports, where you can find all the standings and the results, and of course, deck list if you want to go ahead and venture out into the wilds known as standard ranked ladder with Galakron Shaman. Of course, proceed at your own risk. So with that, TJ, we are done. We don't have a winning interview, but we have a lot to say to wrap it up. So go ahead, just take the floor, TJ. What do you want to say as your final words here?
It's been a fun 3 weeks for the Swiss portion. We got to see players test in different lineups. Also, we got tested as casters because we had to, try and figure out what these strategies were that these players were coming in with. And but it's been a nice time, and I'm excited to get going with the round robin. It was a nice send-off with the 10-deck format because we got to see some of the decks that we may be seeing less of over the next couple weeks with Shaman and Paladin. But it's going to be refreshing to get back to some real top-level Tier 1 deck competitive Hearthstone. It feels like it's been so long since I've watched a Demon Hunter game, Dan. I just don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But next week we will be back to the norm.
All right. So with that, make sure to stay connected. Big thank you to T-Mobile, who's been helping us put on this program. But the way you can stay connected to our streams, there's a bell button right next to the YouTube stream. It'll help notify you, tell you about all the upcoming streams, starting from week 4 Every match, not only, of course, has implications on their standings and for money, but who is going to be positioning themselves best for relegation and for playoffs. And we're going back to best of 5 conquest, the standard that most people expect. And so we'll see once more when we come back what will happen throughout the next 4 weeks of play. And with that, we are done. So thank you for everybody who's tuned in, from Frodan, TJ, and everybody here working on Hearthstone Grandmasters Esports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.